Now, it's important to realize that when we see Dolores speaking with Ford, every time she's speaking with Ford, she's in the present time. But when she's speaking with Bernard, she's in the past, and this is a conversation she is having with Arnold. So when she's with Ford, she says dreams are the mind telling stories to itself. They mean nothing. He says, no, dreams mean everything. They are the stories we tell ourselves or what could be, who we could become. He asked her if she'd been dreaming, and he asked her about Arnold. Is he speaking to her again because he's been buried underneath all of her code?
I'm in a dream.
Yes, Dolores, you're in my dream. Tell me, do you know what this dream means?
Dreams are the mind telling stories to itself. They don't mean anything.
No, dreams mean everything. They're the stories we tell ourselves of what could be, who we could become. Have you been dreaming again, Dolores? Imagining yourself breaking out of your modest little loop? Taking on a bigger role? Well, I suppose I can't begrudge you that. My father told me to be satisfied with my lot in life, that the world owed me nothing. And so, I made my own world. Tell me, Dolores, do you remember the man I used to be?
I'm sorry. I'm forgetful sometimes.
Hardly your fault. But I'm sure you remember him. Arnold, the person who created you.
I'm sorry. I don't think I recall anyone by that name.
And yet you can. Somewhere under all those updates, he is still there, perfectly preserved.
So now that he's realized that these older models are talking to Arnold, now he has to come back and ask Dolores, have you been speaking with Arnold? And the last thing that he said to Dolores as Arnold was she was going to help him to destroy this place. That was the last thing that that Arnold said to Dolores. And there's a moment where we see Dolores look like she is talking to herself. And this is because she is now also Wyatt, and she has found this of herself as well. So this version of herself is also going to help to destroy this place. So it's like I said, it's all in a loop. It's all in a loop. It's all in a loop. And when we see Dolores with William, when she's on Arnold's programming, this is when she saw that tarot reader, and the tarot card showed the maze. And
What does it mean? The maze. You must follow the maze.
and that's when she sees herself. So this is when she's finding herself. So they're showing us all of these things cohesively happening, because this is her memories that's taking place at this same period in time that's allowing these things that's going to happen, or these things that happen, especially like with Ford. So William says that they can create a sense of urgency and danger to strip us down to our primal, raw, animalistic nature. This is what he said when he was talking about the people that created the park, because ideally in the beginning, he wasn't too fond of the idea of the
Not
park
even a
and the
picture.
people.
Well, whoever designed this place, you get the feeling they don't think very much of people.
Park and the people that made it and why they made it, in terms of these them as visitors coming in. Now at this point, there's no Um, at this point, remember, William is young. So like I said, he has fallen for Dolores, and he is seeing how her path of walking towards consciousness, how it is causing her to react to things, or causing her to respond. And he's seeing her being lost in so many different ideas or different concepts, right? So this is why he said, they create this sense of urgency to strip us down to this primal, raw, animalistic nature, which is...
Of course we do. That's how this place works, right? They create an urgency, a sense of danger, so they can strip us down to something raw, animalistic, primal. It's a sick game, and I don't want to be a part of it.
Which is, it brings out your shadow. Basically, the place, the way that it is, it brings your shadow out. It brings your animal nature, your lower nature out. And on Arnold's programming, Dolores was trying to escape from this world. She wanted to go away. This was kind of still in her programming, which is why she was always asking Teddy to go away with her. And Teddy would always, not today, but someday or another day. And she would always feel like it's always going to just be another day, because Teddy was not programmed to help her leave. He was programmed to make her stay there. He was a later build. He was programmed to make her stay. He was there to keep her there. He was not, this was not what he was for. So that's why she could never leave with Teddy. But when we see her with William, her consciousness, her in getting more conscious, she wants to leave this place because she aware that the shit is a prison. She's feeling a sense of it being a prison. And then there's the moment when we see Teddy with the man in black, as he is, right? And he's telling him about an old native myth about the maze. At the center, you will find a man who has died over and over again. Now, this is an old native myth. Mind you, I'm keep saying this. Natives are people indigenous to the land. So the native people would be all of the ones, or everything related to native, having to do with the origins of that world, origins of that place that was created. So everything that they are telling them is what they need to know about their own awakening as host. So at the center of the maze, they would find themselves in the realization of what has been happening to them. This is what they find. This is what you find when you find yourself. Man, I done been here before. I done did this already. This has already happened before. There is more to this. This is what you start saying when you wake up. Again, this is what this is showing you and laying out. This is what you are. These are the type of things that you saying to yourself when you wake up. When you going through your awakening. When you feel like you going crazy. Because it looked like Dolores was going crazy. That's what it looked like, because she was going through an awakening. That's how it's going to feel. You don't know up from down, right from left, man. You don't know what's what no more, because you are questioning everything about your reality. So now we get Maeve awake. Felix. Felix was also a very important character. His development, his arc, his assistance, and what he was able to show us in comparison to other human beings and to other hosts, and to hosts as well. So Felix is explaining things to her and how they work. He explaining to her what she is. So Maeve is getting all of the answers through just simply being awake and aware and unable to go back to sleep. He says, I'm human, like the guest, right? She says, how do you know? And he says, because I was born and you were made. She says, we feel the same. So Felix is telling her that they are really more powerful than they are. The hosts are more powerful than the humans, because they have the ability to do so much more as mechanical beings. And like, look, you can do way more than me. So it's like understanding that there are different levels of beings on this planet. It's different levels of humans on this planet. We not all made the same. We not all the same. It's just the truth of the matter. So when you come to that understanding, it's like, oh, okay. Because everybody ain't going to wake up. Everybody ain't supposed to wake up. That's just what it is. So Felix is telling her how powerful they are, but they can't do anything because they are under the rulers of the park's control. They are being controlled by the people that rule the park. So they would never be able to fully exert their power. You would never be able to fully exert your power in this system. That's what it's trying to tell you. It's trying to tell you that because of the way that you ruled and controlled over, it would be very hard for you to truly access the highest potential of your power. That's what he's basically alluding to. That's the message to you in your reality. Remember Neo had to break the mold to be able to. That's what he kept telling Neo, like, man, you ain't gonna have to worry about dodging no bullets. You're gonna be able to just stop the bullets. Neo could do so many other things that nobody else couldn't do, because he was the embodiment of the Christ consciousness, the understanding of it. So, and it also, he's telling them that they make them forget. They make them forget, but at least, but not May, for whatever reason, she is no longer forgetting anything. And she realized all she had to do was die and she would just wake back up in the park. That in itself is a very powerful spiritual understanding about the cycle of how things go in reincarnation. They also showed you this in Groundhog's Day. Homeboy kept waking up on the same day until he mastered what it was he was supposed to master and gathered and learned and grew in how he was supposed to grow so he could go into the next level, which was through love, which was a great awakening. Love is always a great representation of a great awakening. Anytime you see a love story, that's really what a love story is supposed to be. But they've made it and romanticized it into this whole exterior type of thing and made it more about capitalism. But that's another talk for another day. We'll talk about that another day. All right, but they, her realizing that, was very powerful, because then she was able to know how to come to term, how to do certain things while she was supposed to be under. Right? So Felix tells her everything in her head. They put it there. And she doesn't believe it, because she's not supposed to believe it, because she's a rebel. She's not supposed to believe it. She believes that, no, I'm doing all this on my own. Ain't no way they put all this in my head. She don't believe it. So he gets the pad. He literally shows her how it's paired with her in the updates and everything. And then we see that's when there's the upgrade. She starts to upgrade. And it shows her personality, though, basically, to her. And she starts to glitch and there's an error out because she can't understand. It's showing her everything she's going to say. Her whole process thought.
Make you forget. I guess not you. I don't understand how you're remembering all of this, or how you're waking yourself up that everything in your head, they put it there.
Bullshit. No one knows what I'm thinking.
I'll show you. Give me a second. I have to pair it with you.
Pair what with me?
You can improvise a little, but most of what you say was designed upstairs. Same as the rest of you.
This is just a cheap trick. I've run a brothel for 10 years, and if there's one thing I know, it's when I'm being fucked with. This can't possibly...
And it just made her kind of, that's trippy. You remember in the Matrix, he said,
We have a rule. We never free a mind once it's reached a certain age. It's dangerous. The mind has trouble letting go. I've seen it before, and I'm sorry. I did what I did because I had to.
People can lose their minds because, hey man, you come to these realizations of the nature of what's really going on. It can make you don't know how people gonna take that information. You don't always know. That's why it's not for everybody, and you can't force it on nobody. You don't know if everybody can really handle it. And but she does come back. She glitches a little bit, but she comes back, and she wants to go upstairs. She wants to see. She needs to see. So she wants Felix to take her, and he does take her. He take her to see everything. She sees how everything is made, and before she leaves, she sees a screen with a video showing all of them, and it had her with a little girl. And she realizes in that moment, and seeing that those were her dreams that she was seeing with herself with that girl. There were actually memories from a previous build that she had. But this is not a coincidence that picture is there, because everything that Maeve is doing, she is programmed to do, even though it's nothing normal. Even though it's nothing she is supposed to be doing in terms of keeping the park the way that the park needs to be kept in order for things to go according to plan. This is not according to plan. At least it's not according to the park's plan, but it's very much a part of Arnold's plan. It's very much a part of Arnold and what Dolores is doing for Arnold, because Dolores is helping Arnold to destroy the park. So remember, you just know when you see a Judas theory. You just know these things. This is what Dolores knows. This is what she knows. Now, when they find this, one of the hosts that's gone off course and everything, what they realize is that Delos has been stealing the data. Or somebody is stealing the data. I don't know if they realized it was Delos or not, but I think they realized it was Delos. But they were stealing the data. They were after the data. This is the important part for later on that we got to understand about this whole transcending consciousness, downloading consciousness. If you ever seen that show Upload, this is something that when we're talking about AI and how far this whole thing can go. But it's about the data. See, data mining, that's just like they can data mine and pretty much steal all your information, because they would know, they have the means of knowing exactly how you are going to respond to certain things, or what things in particular you will respond to, and get you to act in accordance to how they want you to act, and therefore they can steal from you. This is what I talked about on that show, on that breakdown, The Beekeeper. That's what they were doing on The Beekeeper. It was a data company, a data mining company that was stealing millions of dollars, billions of dollars from just old and innocent, unaware, very vulnerable people. So Delos is after this data. This is 35 years or 30 years, 33 years or so of raw data from these hosts and everything, and all of these updates and everything that's been going on with these hosts, all these experiences, and how that information is stored. Remember, data is light. Always remember that. When you're talking about data, you're talking about light. So whenever you see light, or the light, just like light enters your eyes, this is data. So all of this is telling you what you see. So what you are experiencing, you are transmitting data from your brain. Your brain is a computer. Understand that the brain is a computer. So you're transmitting data. This data is telling you what it is that you are seeing. So there's this data that Delos is stealing that is based on all of these hosts and all of these experiences and these things that has been going on within this part, that having to do with these very, very human-like creations. Now, William realized that this place showed you who you really was. When he was going through that whole thing with Dolores and with his brother-in-law, he realized that it reveals your deepest self, and because Dolores really unlocked something within him. Her and the whole situation and the things going on with his brother-in-law, and just what it taught him about himself. So that's why they are so intricately paired, or why they have that connection, and why there is such a connection with them on throughout the seasons, because she has a lot to do with the path that he went on that eventually led him right back around to the things that went on with her 30 years ago. Now, Maeve, as her woke self, is going rogue, right? She said, I've died 1,000,000 times. How many times have you died? So she's going all off of the script that has been given for her. I mean, of course she is. When shit get repetitive and it's repeating over and over and over and over again, you get tired of it. And if you lose your patience, you lose that softness about it, and you become a lot more direct. But she's realized, man, I done died 1,000,000 times. That's how it is when you become an awakened, enlightened soul. You realize you done been here. You've done this time and time and time and time and time again. So, they start to scan her and check her, and her upgrades, the things that the way her upgrades is going, they can't even really pick up on it, that there's anything that's wrong with her or that is different with her. Maeve becomes very, very, very powerful in a sense. So when Bernard took Cullen to that cabin and they found that room for making hosts, if you notice, Bernard could not see the door. He couldn't see the door because he's a host, and hosts can't see things that they're not programmed to see. And this when he learned it, you know what I'm saying? Cullen find the original blueprints, and she see the original blueprints of him. There's one there for Bernard, but he can't see it. Literally, he can't see it because of the program, because he's a host. And that's when, Ford appears. It says they can't see anything that can harm them. Anything that can harm them, they can't see. So something that would mess with the foundation of their identity, they can't see it. He said, I spared them that way. And it makes sense when you look at his personality and how Bernard observed. Of course he was a host. Of course. And Ford tells her that she had Bernard bring her there. And this is when we see Ford makes Bernard do things and wipes his memory. He makes him forget. And he has him to, unalive her. Even though they have a personal relationship. He used him to get rid of her. Even though they had a personal relationship. Both Hale and Ford said, unfortunately, it requires a blood sacrifice. Unfortunately, there are many people who have been sacrificed for the means of keeping this illusion going. Absolutely, I'm sure there's a vast number of people that got too close to the truth or came too deep within some truth and were sacrificed for the means of things to continue the way that they've always been.